Hey everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about fast fashion again. If you watched my last fast fashion video all the way to the end, you notice that I hinted at today's video, which is if you're anti-racist, you should also be anti-fast fashion. And we're going to be diving into that deeper in this video. But what sparked this idea for this video was I saw so many people right after the killing of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement really sparked up in the beginning of June. I noticed a lot of people getting Black Lives Matter t-shirts within days of the protests happening, and other things like be kind and there's only one human race and all these other inspirational t-shirts. And I was thinking, how in the world did someone make this shirt within just a few days? And big companies are starting to sell them as well. And it got me thinking, are these shirts being ethically made? And if not, these people are wearing these slogans on these shirts but not actually supporting what they believe in with that slogan with their money. They're supporting racist companies. So that's what we're gonna get into today. Very controversial, I know. It's gonna be a good time. So yeah, if you've never heard the term fast fashion before, I will leave that video linked up here as well as down below so you can get a good idea about what we're going to be talking about in this video, because I'm just going to skip all of that background information and jump right into the racism part of it. And just before we get started, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. These are all just my own opinions based off my own research, so please feel free to do your own research as well and formulate your own opinions. So, like I said, it really was bothering me that people were claiming to be anti-racist, but they were still supporting racist companies. The truth has been uncovered about a lot of things and a lot of companies, and it's fine if you supported them in the past and you just didn't know. I highly encourage you to look into the companies that you're supporting with your money to see if they are also putting their money where their mouths are. I've noticed a lot of brands recently, Blackout Tuesday or posting one Black Lives Matter thing on their feed, but then you look into these companies and you realize they don't have very many black CEOs. They don't really hire that many people of color. They've said racist things in the past, and I mean, don't get me wrong, people can grow and move on, but it just kind of got me thinking too, are these companies supporting the movement because that's what they feel in their heart, or are they supporting the movement because they know it will make them money? It's really hard to judge, honestly, so you have to do your own research for yourself before supporting or not supporting these companies. I'm gonna leave that up to you, but I'm gonna give you some numbers today. So I mentioned the shirts that were pretty likely just drop shipped, and someone just thought up their idea real quick and got onto Alibaba and made these shirts, probably in an Asian country where they're not paid fairly or treated ethically. So there's a problem there in itself. I've also seen people too who, just post quotes on Instagram. They don't buy any of these trending items. But then the next day I'll see them with their haul from Zaful or buying makeup from L'Oreal, two companies that definitely are not anti-racist. That's for sure. So these companies and more have one thing in common. They use and support fast fashion and fast fashion techniques like drop shipping, or they are just hypocritical of the Black Lives Matter movement in general. I'll be talking about greenwashing in a later video, and I bring that up because it's similar with race. With greenwashing, companies are, on the outside, they look like they're gonna be a green, eco-friendly company, but on the inside, they're really not. Same with some of these companies about race. On the outside, it looks like they're supporting the movement, it looks like they're anti-racist, but if you dig a little deeper, they're actually not. Companies that have been very racist in the past are only now speaking up. And again, I'm not saying that people and companies in general can't have a change of mind, a change of heart, but if they're just now doing it, it just looks a little fishy. And I gotta give them the benefit of the doubt because it is really hard, because they'll get criticized if they don't speak up, but now they're also getting criticized because they are speaking up. But like I said, are they doing it because it's something that they want to do from the goodness of their heart, or is it something that they're going to do to gain them followers and to give them money? But similar to greenwashing, they need to be cognizant of what they are saying and also what they are doing. Do their everyday practices support what they're saying on Instagram? Sure, they might say they're anti-racist, but have they fired black people in the past for speaking up about racism? Do they hire more white people over black people intentionally? Do they make makeup for all skin tones? Do they pay every employee fairly, or do they discriminate pay based off gender and race? Ask these questions to these companies, do some digging on their websites. If they don't have that information, email them. It might be a little intimidating at first, but my friend Despina on Instagram, I'll leave her Instagram link down below. She made a great template for companies like this to get the conversation started and see if they are actually putting their money where their mouths are. So if you too are claiming to be anti-racist, good for you, but please don't just stop with what you're saying. Continue that with your actions as well. And I don't mean that you have to donate hundreds of dollars to organizations. Simply by refusing to buy from racist companies is actually taking action for what you're saying. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, should it take the publicized death of a black man to get companies to speak up about racism? And again, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I never really spoke up much about racism before I was aware of the issues. I'm not blaming anyone for that. That is completely my fault. But my ethics have always been the same. I've always felt the same about these issues, but now I know a little bit better how to speak up. I'm a little more educated on the topic. I feel more comfortable speaking up now and that sort of thing. And maybe these companies are learning that too. And that's why this whole video, it's just really hard to tell with companies, with celebrities and things like that. I always try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. It's so hard to say. Trying to profit off of a social issue, whether it be the Black Lives Matter movement or COVID, as we saw earlier in the year, is wrong. It doesn't matter if you're doing it for followers or if you're doing it for money. Trying to profit off of something like this is very, very wrong. That's what I'm trying to figure out as well, and I encourage you to figure out too, is if these companies are only doing it for a profit. So not only this, but also look at the company structure. Yes, they might truly believe in the Black Lives Matter movement, and they might have always had these same ethics the entire time their company's been up and running, but do they show it? Do they have black CEOs? Do they have black spokespersons? Do they have a relatively equal workforce between whites and blacks? For example, Amazon sees about 60% warehouse and delivery workers being people of color, though only 8% of their managers in the US are black compared to about 60% managers being white. Same with Nike, who sees only 43% of a white workforce, but 3/4 of their vice presidents are white. Other companies see similar demographics as well, so do your digging. I will leave all the resources I used linked down below for your own research. But what does this have to do with fast fashion? And that is because racism isn't just whites versus blacks, and that includes textile workers that work for fast fashion brands. Fast fashion giants like Zara, H&M, Shein, and more use sweatshops. They hire the cheapest labor, work their employees overtime with no extra pay, they work in hazardous conditions as well. This takes place in a whole lot of Asian countries like China, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and so many more. So by supporting these companies as well, also supports their racist habits, even though it's not against black people. Again, if you're just not hearing this for the first time, don't forget to check out the first video I made about fast fashion. It's very informative. It's a little long, but there's a lot of good detail in there. I will leave some other sustainable and ethical fashion influencers linked down below that also have a bunch of great content on fast fashion and racism and how they go hand in hand and how you should support neither of them. But basically, these brands are exploiting other people of color, not just black people. These people are underpaid, work in hazardous conditions, and the US and other wealthy nations are purposefully exploiting them because of the cheap labor there. It might not be fast fashion giants who are doing this, but when someone gets an item drop shipped with a Black Lives Matter statement on the shirt in one of these countries, what's the point of saying you're anti-racist if you're buying from one of these companies? To me, that's just a conflict of interest. Granted, I'm sure most people don't know where their clothes are made, but why? Do you genuinely not know? Or are you just ignorant to the idea? Or are you in denial about it? Are you just too scared to look it up because you don't want to stop supporting these companies that you love? In my opinion, if you're claiming to be anti-racist, you need to be anti-racist for all races and not just anti-racist for the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm not going to tell you which brands to support and which ones not to support. That is your own ethical and moral call. You can set your own ethical and moral standards for the companies that you wish to support. You don't have to listen to what I have to say about this. You don't have to choose your standards based off some other influencers. I really encourage you to just dig deep in your heart and to see if you're really putting your money where your mouth is as well, and if it's worth it to you to keep supporting these racist companies. I just hope that you do some research before the next time you go to the mall or buy something off of Amazon. I just actually watched a very interesting video about Jeff Bezos by one of my favorite controversial YouTubers. She talks about a lot of controversial topics and I love it. Her name's Kristen Leo. I'll leave her channel link down below, and I really encourage you to check out some of her great content that she's put out the last couple weeks about all of these controversial issues, and it's really eye-opening. And of course, check out a bunch of other creators as well. Don't just take one YouTuber's opinion for it. Do your own research. It really will help you formulate your own opinions. So think about who really makes the products before you're gonna buy something. Whose life is literally being compromised for my style? Fast fashion comes at an expense, and we need to quit turning a blind eye for a $5 t-shirt. Racism is everywhere. It's not just a derogatory comment that gets thrown around. It's in little everyday actions. It goes much farther than that, and unfortunately it is ingrained in societies all around the world still to this day. And the fashion industry certainly is no exception. Fast fashion has literally been reliant on the exploitation of people of color. They literally rely on racism. 80% of garment workers throughout the world are people of color. And a lot of them, like I mentioned in the first fast fashion video, are being forced to work. A lot of them don't even have a choice. I know that our small changes really do have a big impact in the long run Our voices as consumers have a huge impact, but really this needs to occur at a more systemic level, a more operational business level. So of course it is so important to vote with your dollar, but it's also important to vote for leaders who will enact changes like this. We need to demand that businesses hire equal people of color and equal white people. Not only that, because we do see a lot of companies doing that, but once it gets higher up, we see still a majority of white people as vice presidents, CEOs, presidents. So people of color need representation all across the board, and especially in the fashion industry. And of course, we still need to do stuff as consumers. We kind of need to rethink about how we shop and actually do some research before we shop. We need to support companies that support people of color and hire people of color, support Black-owned businesses as well. We need to quit giving money to companies that are literally exploiting people of color, particularly in Asia in this case. You can write to these companies, email these companies, call these companies, let them know what actions you'd like to see made and put in place. And honestly, the best thing that you can do is to educate yourself on racism and other ethical and moral issues throughout the world, and educate others as well. Don't just stop with yourself and keep everything in your head. That's a big reason that I started this channel, is because I had so much valuable information I was learning through my research that I wanted to share it with others. And I'm not saying that you have to start a YouTube channel, but just have the conversation with your family, have the conversation at work, talk about it on Instagram or wherever you want to. Bring it up, turn this sort of uncomfortable topic into something that can be a little less taboo and more easy to talk about. Because after all, the more people that know about these issues, the more changes that can be made. I've been saying this at the end of a lot of my videos, and that is, I feel like a lot of us in this community that I'm building here are of the same mind, of the same heart, ethics, morals, whatever. And we all agree that racism is bad, fast fashion is bad, pollution is bad, all of this stuff. So I don't want this message to stop here. You can share this video if you like this video. It really does help support my channel. Even if you don't want to do those things, at least have this conversation with others who are not aware of this topic yet. I've been noticing that a lot too with the racism issues, is that it's easy to talk to people who have the same views as you. It's easy to talk to people who also don't agree with systemic racism. It's a lot harder to talk to people who don't agree, but those people are the ones who need to hear it in order for changes to really be made. I hope you enjoyed. At least I hope you learned something from this video. Again, it would mean so much to me if you gave this video a thumbs up. It really does help support my channel. And if you're new here, I would love if you hit subscribe. It would really make my day. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend some time with me. I hope this video was of value to you. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember that these small changes you make have a big impact in the long run. Bye guys. I've seen, and then not even that, or they are just hypocritical of the Black Lives Movement matter, or they are just the people who make our clothing and fast fashion industries. Their racist activities, their racist practices maybe, also supports their racist, what did I just decide the word? Racist habits? Sure, habits, racist habits. Yeah, I guess that's it. Is this even recording?